Hello and welcome back to Dark Souls. In the last episode, we managed to defeat the Taurus demon. Normally, I would be pushing forward and trying to get to the next bonfire. You know what, let's do that before we decide to do anything kind of weird and go off the beaten path. Of course, it always is worthwhile to check all of your surroundings to make sure that you're not missing any items or anything interesting. We have a door here that is locked, and even our master key cannot open it for us. So probably a door we should try to keep in mind moving forward. I also have another NPC here. This is Solaire.
Hello. You don't look hollow. Far from it. I am Solaire of Astora, an adherent of the Lord of Sunlight. Now that I am undead, I have come to this great land, the birthplace of Lord Gwyn, to seek my very own son. You find that strange? Well, you should. No need to hide your reaction. I get that look all the time. Oh, aha. So I didn't scare you. I have a proposition, if you have a moment.
Yeah, sure, what do you need?
The way I see it, our fates appear to be intertwined. In a land brimming with hollows, could that really be mere chance? So what do you say? Why not help one another on this lonely journey?
Yeah, sure.
This pleases me greatly. Well then, take this.
He has given us the White Sign Soapstone. This item will allow us to engrave a sigil on the ground that other players will be able to see in their worlds, and they can summon us to help them progress through the game.
We are amidst strange beings in a strange land. The flow of time itself is convoluted, with heroes centuries old phasing in and out. The very fabric wavers, and relations shift and obscure. There's no telling how much longer your world and mine will remain in contact. But use this to summon one another as spirits, cross the gaps between the worlds, and engage in jolly cooperation. Of course, we are not the only ones engaged in this, but I am a warrior of the sun. Spot my summon signature easily by its brilliant aura. If you miss it, you must be blind. Oh, hello there. I will stay behind to gaze at the sun. The sun is a wondrous body, like a magnificent father. If only I could be so grossly incandescent.
So, Solaire says that he will help us if we've managed to find his summon sign. You can only summon other players into your game if you are human, which means we would have to be human in order to find his summon sign. Now, there's lots of scorch marks on this bridge, and we did see a very scary Drake a little bit ago. So, the game is kind of telegraphing us that maybe we should be a little careful here. And I have a few things I need to do with that Drake, but before we do any of them, I'd like to poke around a little bit down here. This is why we did not immediately go to where I actually wanted to go in this first place. I actually wanted to come down to this bonfire and level up a little bit. Give me just a second to figure out how I want to spend these points. Alright, I think I'm going to go ahead and increase our strength by a couple of points and just get a little bit more HP. HP is never a bad thing, and I am very much a big fan of it. Unfortunately, I do need to climb all the way back up to where I just was and then outrun a dragon's breath. Hopefully I don't die from that. In order to go to the other optional area that is available to us because we have the Master Key starting item. Of course, Dragon Boy's hanging out over there. I don't actually know if... Yeah, I figured I was going to get hit by fire. Unfortunately, it's not incredibly dangerous for us because it will not one-shot us at this point in time. Also, if you want to farm souls, the dragon kills all the enemies on that bridge, so you can get, I think it's like 100-something souls each time that he does that fire attack, so you can just go back to the bonfire and respawn it and kill the enemies again. That's a little exploity, I think, so I won't be doing it, but, you know, it's an option for you. We are just going to be running back across the bridge that we first entered, and I'm sure that you all noticed the door that I did not say anything about whenever we passed right next to it. And that's this door here, across from the bottom of this tower. If you have the... Oh, shit, dude. Calm down. Trying to backstab him. I forgot that guy was there, so took a little unnecessary damage. Don't actually know if I can do this. I'm certainly going to try and be very, 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 very careful. But there is an optional enemy down here, which is a humanoid type enemy that acts like a player does, which means that it has its own AI that's set to try to screw you over as much as possible. And it is very, very, very dangerous. I'm trying to get it, I'm going to lure it up to me so that I have room to fight it. This is Havel. Please do not try to parry him like I just did. It is not a good idea, and it will get you killed. As you can see, we are barely even scratching him. I'm going to try to keep him in this loop for as much as I possibly can. Because it's going to take a minute, and you know, I think I'll just speed up the footage a little bit. Alright, there we go. He has finally been taken down. He has a lot of HP. But the main reason I wanted to kill him is because he drops a beautiful item called the Havel's Ring. And I will show you guys the very rarely viewed inventory system. And all items in this game have interesting item descriptions. And if I find any that I think are interesting or I want to talk about, I will bring them up for you. But Havel's Ring. This ring was named after Havel the Rock, Lord Gwyn's old battlefield compatriot. Havel's men wore the ring to express faith in their leader and to carry a heavier load. So what that means is that's actually going to be increase how much stuff we can wear by about, it's about 50% more items that we can wear, just by putting the ring on. So on the right side of the screen, and I'll put a little box around it, there's a thing that says equip load. If your equipment load is within 25% of the minimum, of 25% of your maximum amount, you will have what's called a fast roll. And that roll will allow you to move a little faster, give you more invincibility frames, and generally, that's what I'm going to try to maintain for the entire playthrough, is just having a fast roll. So this will allow us to be able to equip a couple more weapons or items in our offhand, you know, etc., as we continue forward through the game. I will meet you guys back at the bonfire. Alright, so I have gotten myself back to the bonfire. I'm actually just going to put a couple more points in strength, getting our strength up to match our dexterity. And then we'll continue from where we just were. And since we knocked this ladder down, we can actually climb all the way back up to the top of the bridge, where that dragon was kind of hanging out. But I wanted to teach new players about a quick mechanic here, and that is, if I can figure out how to freaking use a bow again. It's been so freaking long since I've used a bow. You can actually cut off tails of very large enemies. And you don't need to do it with a sword. Wow, I am really sucking with my aim right now. There we go. Okay, I managed to actually hit it twice in between its walk animation. So the dragon is actually trying to find us when it flies down, but since it can't find us, it'll just fly right back to where it was. I will skip forward when I manage to get the tail cut. There we go. So we have gotten the Drake Sword. Just to give you guys another glimpse behind the screen, the Drake Sword is an amazingly good weapon, especially early game when you don't have a lot of upgrades on your weapons previously, and you don't have a lot of stats to really scale into a weapon. The Drake Sword has no scaling. It will not get better if your strength or dexterity get higher. It never gets any better. However, it is going to do an extremely high amount of damage, and it also has a cool alternate attack. If you two-hand the weapon and then you do a heavy attack, you will shoot out a kind of fissure along the ground. This fissure does consume a decent amount of the weapon's durability as well, so just something else to keep in mind. I did not mean to aggro that guy. I kind of knew that was going to happen when I went up. I would like to try and run past this guy. No, thank you, sir. And, of course, the dragon was guarding this bonfire here. Another fun place for us to, quickly save the game. If I did not mention it before, whenever you rest at a bonfire, it will cause all of the enemies that are nearby to respawn. Just wanna No, thank you. No, thank you. Just wanted to quickly grab that cheeky soul there. Of course, it does not respawn projectiles, but I think there's just a bug in the game. So we did get shot with an arrow there. Now, the area that I'm heading to, if you don't want to try to tackle with the dragon or run past it or whatnot, you can go underneath the bridge and it will lead over to the exact same area that I am now. But I will show you just kind of how decimating the Drake Sword is when you first get it. Like, I don't even need to parry enemies in order to kill them in one hit anymore. As well, I did want to show off this area up here. And I am probably going to die, but we did just save, so we're, relatively safe. So this is another Black Knight. And these things, again, are incredibly dangerous. Are not to be underestimated. And definitely make sure that you're incredibly careful when you're fighting them. He actually hit me when I was in my recovery animation. That was a little annoying. We did get the Black Knight shield, which is an excellent shield, and we also got a Titanite chunk. I'm actually really surprised I did not die. A little impressed with myself there. I'm very happy about that. Normally, I don't ever use the Drake Sword, but I figure since we're doing a Let's Play, I can just kind of show off just the raw power and meat of it to players who might not have played the game before. And as you can see, it is doing significantly more damage than our even our dagger was, and our dagger has a very high critical hit bonus damage. But if you're having trouble with the early game of Dark Souls, I cannot recommend getting the Drake Sword enough. I believe there's a guy who is just now running up to us. Yeah, I'll wait for him, and then I'll show off another kind of interesting mechanic of the game. He'll get up here eventually. Come on, buddy. Come on. I know you can do it. Come on. Come on, try to kill me. Give me 1 second. Alright, so I wanted to show off the alluring skulls. As you can see, there's this big, scary pig enemy down there that's kind of stopping us progressing forward. However, if we're careful and smart about the way we play, we can toss an item called an alluring skull. These skulls will lure enemies into them, and it has actually lured the pig directly into that fire, which will just slowly take away the pig's health until it dies, netting us a decent chunk of souls. This pig enemy also has a chance of dropping a unique helmet, which, I mean, I've never seen it drop before, but I've heard that it can drop the helmet. One thing I don't like about the Drake Sword is that it does not, as far as longswords go, it does not have a lunge attack. I don't think it has a lunge attack, actually, at least. Oh, wait, I know what the R2 does. The R2 is that kind of ranged attack. Yeah, it does not have a kind of a lunging attack, so it is definitely a little scary to be using around walls, because you will clank off of walls. I also found the mystery key item, which is going to be useful a little bit later in the game. What could that key open? No one knows. Of course, there's this item over here on these rafters I'm going to try to very carefully walk to. See if we can't grab that. Large soul of a lost undead. All these consumable souls will be very, very useful here shortly, as there is a very friendly NPC I would like to introduce you all to here in a bit. But yeah, we can just continue moving forward and kind of pressing through. Now, like I said before, not all fog gates are bosses, and as you can see, we turn around, the fog gate is completely gone, which means we've just kind of hit a threshold in the level. I assume it's for loading purposes. As well, enemies also will detect on basically how fast you move up to them, which is how well they'll detect you. If you move at them very slow and methodically like I just did, there's a chance they won't even notice that you're there. I think I have my throwing knives. I always have trouble with this pole in this upcoming hallway, so that's how I deal with it. Essentially, we would be flanked if we did not peg that guy. He'll come up and meet us here shortly. I'm gonna watch my back to make sure that he's not already all the way up here. Of course, the Drakesword just looks super freaking dope, which is one of my favorite things about it. But yeah, this guy would be attacking us from this side, and we would have the spear wielder behind us, were we to not pull him from before. But like I was saying, enemies have a chance to drop items, and the Titanite shirt is actually one of the items I'd like to pick up. It is an upgrade material that's used to upgrade weapons and armor. Of course, we have to take it to a blacksmith, and we happen to know where one of the game's many blacksmiths are. And again, I'm mainly doing critical hits because I know that you get bonus souls if you do that. And while 20% may not seem like a lot, it really adds up over time. And as you've noticed, like the soul counter is just going climbing higher and higher and higher the further we progress. But before we head into the church, which is the building that's that direction, to try to ring the Bell of Awakening there, we do have a little bit of a detour I'd like to make. You can actually hear the next NPC we'll be talking to. Of course, we have a beautiful bonfire here, which is an excellent place to restore our Estus. We can also level up, but before we level up, I actually want to do a couple more things. Because, I'm sure you can tell by this point in the game, souls are your currency for basically just about everything.
New arrival. I'm Andre of Astoran. If you require smithing, then speak to me. Most weapons and armor are mighty sturdy indeed, but every hunk of metal has its breaking point. If you notice durability running low, it's time to repair. You can ask a blacksmith like myself, or do it on your own with a grindstone. The nice thing about weapons, they never betray you, so pay them a little respect. Hey, there are two types of weapon forging. There's reinforcement and there's ascension. Reinforcement is simple. It strengthens the weapon and nothing more. A simple task for any blacksmith. Hell, you could even do it yourself with a smith box. But ascension's a finer art. It alters a weapon's properties. Ascension is the territory of we blacksmiths. A smith box just won't do the trick. Start out with reinforcement. When that loses its charm, you can consider ascension. As you've noticed, this land is flush with the mad and wicked. You won't make it through the night without employing my services. You can forge armor just like you do weapons. Forging armor is even easier than forging weapons. Whether you forge weapons or armor first, well, that's up to you. But nobody wants to see you go hollow. So whatever you do, you'd better do it well.
So, looks like we've exhausted his dialogue there. But Andre actually sells Titanite shards, which are, again, used to upgrade weapons and armor, which is great. I would actually like to see... Yeah, it does take Titanite shards. I wanted to double check that. And that we can upgrade our armor a little bit. Unfortunately, the Thief armor is very light armor, so it does not gain a lot of benefit from upgrading. So I'm probably going to wait until I get maybe a couple more pieces of more interesting armor before I do anything like that. But he does sell a variety of interesting things, including the Crest of Artorias, which is needed for something a little later in the game. You can circumvent the need for it, but for the most part, I think that it definitely would be worth us picking up once we have that huge number of souls. He also has a variety of shields, and he also has arrows. If we ran out of arrows, I needed to pick up some more. I don't think that there's anything in his inventory that I really want to buy other than maybe some Titanite shards, but I can always farm those off of enemies myself. Alright, so we have met the blacksmith, and he will allow us to upgrade our weapons and armor. Oh, I also wanted to show off one more thing before I forget.
Well, you need...
You can, in fact, reinforce the Drake Sword, but it does take dragon scales. Any dragon weapons require dragon scales and an extremely high number of souls in order to upgrade
I'll
them.
be seeing you.
At least for this early on in the game. So don't be getting the Drake Sword expecting you're going to upgrade it fully and be able to rock everything for the entire game with it. It's just not the way that Dark Souls is kind of laid out. It's a very good weapon for early game, but it'll very quickly fall off as you move in kind of the mid game. But yeah, we're just going to go ahead and run back and head over to the church. Alright. Of course, we need to deal with these hollows once again. Just gonna backstab him. I was trying to get him to parry, but he kind of lost sight of me there for a second. And don't worry, I will be spending these souls. I do have plans for them. I'm not really sure the best way to go about it just yet, though. So, do you want to pull? Come here, come on, buddy, come on, come on. You see me? I'm gonna pull this guy outside. There is a spellcaster up in the rafters who will be shooting at me the entire time I'm fighting this guy. So, again, if you can fight enemies by themselves, one at a time, you should definitely do that. Of course, with the Drake Sword, he is absolutely no match for us. He also will drop us a Titanite Shard, which is excellent. Really can be using those upgrade materials the further on in the game we go. As well as there is an item up here on this altar, the Firekeeper Soul, which is a very, very good item that we will need much later. And by much later, I mean, you know, like after we defeat this boss, I will show you how to use the Firekeeper Soul. This enemy always gets freaking stuck right there. Come on, you can do it. I believe in you. Come on, come on. Okay, I'm not going to wait for him to come down. These Balder enemies, which is that enemy I just killed there, I have... I'm trying to think of what is the best way to deal with this freaking guy. And he's already buffed all of you guys in the next room, so I'm just going to have to deal with the fact that they're buffed, unfortunately. Glad that I can one-shot them with the Drake Sword. I'm usually using a very different weapon at this point in the game when I do my own playthroughs. Because again, the Drake Sword is very overpowered for how early in the game you can get it. As well as the fact that it has no scaling means it never gets better. So a lot of players fall into the trap of getting it and then basically trying to use it for the entire game, and you just can't. So like it really, really falls off later. Alright, I believe I've killed most of those guys, so I can take out this this jerk face here. Finish him off with a plunging attack. Of course, I have aggroed way too many guys. I'm a little scared. Yep, saw that coming. Alright, so we're back to exactly where we just died at. I have a couple of enemies up here I need to take out again, so I'll be right back. Of course, this shows off I did want to show that, kind of the power of the ranged attack that cleaves through enemies with the Drake Sword. And as you can see, these enemies are dropping their weapons, which is the Broken Straight Sword. Not a very good item in my opinion, but, you know, it's fine. Before we ascend to the top of the church, I've got a little bit of business in this portion. The game does not direct you to go back here. Can you get out of your I'm gonna parry you animation? The ones that have the rapiers are a serious pain in my freaking ass. They're so hard to parry, because they attack so freaking fast. Alright, we do have a little bit of business in this portion of the castle. As you can see, it looks like there's something beyond this wall. If you simply roll through it or attack it, you can move back here to the, I guess, the prison of the church.
Oh, still human, are you? Then I am in luck. Could you help me? As you can see, I am stuck without recourse.
We, of course, have the option to open the cage that he's stuck in.
Thank you. Yes, sincerely. I am Knight Lautrec of Karim. I truly appreciate this, and I guarantee a reward. Only later. Yes, very sorry. Your reward will have to wait. I've just been freed. Allow me some time.
So he has promised us a reward for freeing him. Sort of an interesting NPC there. Kind of got that gold armor sheen. Another thing I'd like to show off is sometimes you will see a corpse inside of a barrel. If you do, you can actually break the barrel and pillage the corpse afterwards. We are rewarded with a cheeky humanity for that. As another note, any of the dragon weapons cannot be imbued with resins. So if you're curious to why I mentioned earlier that I will be using resins for boss fights and why I will not for this upcoming boss fight, that's why, because the game will not let me use a resin on the Drake Sword. And the Drake Sword is going to do much more damage than even my my knife with the resin. Now, I have come all the way up here to the top of the church. And with the magic of editing, I will be right back, but human. Through the magic of editing, I am back up here. I am now human, which is how you summon NPCs in this game. And I can actually summon Knight Solaire to help us fight the boss. I'm doing this because I believe you need to summon him a handful of times in order to complete his quest line. Could be completely wrong about that. We just give it a few moments after we've tried to summon him, and Knight Solaire will join our game as a helpful NPC, and he will help us take on this next boss. Of course, I want to wait for him to get all the way through the fog gate before I push forward. Looks like the Bell of Awakening is being guarded by this gargoyle. I'd like to... There we go. Say he had a tail, so we can chop it off. Of course, there's not one, but two gargoyles that we need to take out in order to complete this area here. Of course, having another enemy for the bosses, or another target for the bosses to be facing makes this a lot easier. So, of course, we have completed the mission. We have earned Twin Humanities and a Sunlight Medal. Anytime you summon a anyone who's in the Warriors of Sunlight Covenant to your game and you defeat a boss, you will get a Sunlight Medal. Likewise, if you are summoned into someone else's game, you will also get a Sunlight Medal. And those are used to advance your Covenant rank, which there's a handful of different benefits we can give to that. Unfortunately, as it stands at the moment, we cannot join the Covenant because our faith is not high enough, and we have not done enough cooperative play in order to unlock that Covenant. But moving forward, we will be able to join it in the late game. Of course, we are moving to the top of the church, and if we take a moment to look around, there's a rather large fortress over there we might have to check out here in a little while, as well as some more of those gargoyle statues. Sort of interesting. Alright, and with another boss defeated and the first Bell of Awakening rung, I think this is an excellent place to end our session for today. Thank you all very much for joining me, and I hope you will join me with the next episode of Dark Souls. I'll see you later. Bye!